Football. I was leader of the team for about a week. My specialty was the quarterback sneak. I was sacked and attacked, my bag was packed when I got the word in the form of a bird. You know, now.
Welcome to the Married with Picks podcast, season 3, episode 9, week 9. Hi, Steve.
Hey, how's it going?
So we have Steve here and we have Steve's full attention. I'd like to personally thank Mother Nature for making that happen, because otherwise we would be in the midst of Game 6.
That's true.
Which, if all things held equal, would be an elimination game.
Phil's in 7. Got to keep the faith. I roll with Rob.
You have your Philly shirt on.
I roll with Philly Rob, baby. No, we're in trouble. But there's precedent here. The Astros had lost the World Series, being up 3-2, coming back home against Washington. Washington won Game 6 and 7 to win the World Series. So hopefully we can capture some of that magic and continue to play past Saturday.
I could care less who wins or loses. I'll just be glad when the shit is over.
You love baseball.
I hate it. And apparently so does America, because like last night, and I guess there was another situation where the World Series was on at the same time as the NFL, and the NFL ratings like smoke the baseball ratings.
Not in Philadelphia. Well, I'm sure you had both of them on, but I was at the game, so I have no idea.
No, because it was Amazon Prime versus cable, so it's not like a last.
I got you. Well, you got a lot of streamers now, so I still have to watch the Eagles game. I have it recorded. I recorded it today off NFL Network, but I just saw a little bit of the highlights.
All right.
Undefeated still, I see.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we have 6 teams on bye this week: the Browns, the Broncos, the Cowboys, the Giants, the Steelers, and the 49ers. So we only have 10 games to get through. Hopefully we can get through them quickly. So all right. First game up is the Indianapolis Colts at the New England Patriots. Open at -6 in favor of the Patriots. It's at -4.5 in favor of the Patriots. Really not sure why that line would be going down, but I'll take it because I'm going to be on the Patriots here. I don't have a whole lot to say. They will have Sam Ellinger starting for the Colts. This will be his first game against Bill Belichick, and Belichick has a pretty good record up against a rookie quarterback. So I'm taking that approach, and I'm going Patriots.
Yeah, I'm on the same side. It doesn't look like Taylor's going to play for Indianapolis, which would really be their only hope, right? Mm-hmm. With Sam Ellinger in there, quarterback.
One thing before, I forgot to do this as part of the intro. We had 3 bets last week, and I won 2. So I just want to put that out there.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm sure everybody cared enough to break up the analysis on the New England Patriots and the Indianapolis Colts.
Okay, but you were on the same side, right? So go ahead, finish what you got.
I like the Patriots.
Okay, good. All right, next game. Go. If you have more to say, say it.
No, that's good.
Okay, good. All right.
Whatever,
so
Patriots.
Next game up.
Sam Ellinger sucks.
Is the Miami Dolphins at the Chicago Bears. So we just saw the Bears sold off some of their defensive assets. Robert Quinn, who I have to admit I never really heard of. Defensive end went to Philly, and Roquan Smith, who I had heard of. Linebacker went to Baltimore. So there was an article quoting safety Eddie Jackson asking, what are they playing for? So obviously these sell-offs might put some bad mojo in the minds of the players that are still there. So I think now they have to deal with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill coming to town. So I'm on the side of the Dolphins here.
Yeah, it's a tough game for me. I mean, if I had to pick, I would take the Dolphins. I don't know how you can like the Bears when they're selling off pieces, that are pretty valuable. I know you didn't hear the guy that went to the Eagles, but he had like 17, 18 sacks last year. So he's pretty big deal on that defensive line. The rest of the guys, you got to wonder how they feel, with the Bears making those kinds of moves. Are they going to be playing with the same intensity? It's going to be up to Justin Fields, so I would take Miami, but what are you going to do?
Oh, and I think I forgot. It opened at -3.5 in favor of the Dolphins. It's at -4.5.
Yeah, it's going up, so it's a little scary with the line going up, but if you have to bet it, I would take Miami.
Yeah, I would take Miami here for sure. All right, next game is the Minnesota Vikings at the Washington Commanders. It's at -3 in favor of the Vikings. I was kind of back and forth on this game. I've been on Washington the last couple weeks since Taylor Heineke took back over the offense, and that was the right side in those weeks. This is going to be the best offense that they faced, because they played Green Bay, who's obviously been struggling this year, and the Colts with Ellinger last week. Not exactly strong offenses. So you have Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook. So it is going to be a tough battle. And then I realized that it was Kirk Cousins coming back to Washington. So I thought maybe that was an angle, but it looks like when Ron Rivera took over, he brought in kind of all his own coaching staff. So there's not really anybody left over there that would have been there when Cousins was there. Minnesota has won 5 straight, so I kind of feel like they are due for a loss. Washington has the 4th highest pressure rate, which if you can get Kirk Cousins uncomfortable, that's probably your best angle. I'm a little worried because the Washington secondary has kind of struggled, so Justin Jefferson is probably a tough matchup for them. So I originally was on the Vikings. I've shifted over, and I'm going to take the points and take Washington.
I like Washington too. This is a buck to trend game for me. Like you had mentioned earlier, Minnesota's 5-0 in their last 5 games. I think this is a loss. So not only is Washington getting 3 points, but I think they win outright. So buck to trend is Minnesota's 5-0 in their last 5 games, straight up. They're 6-1 their record. I don't see them going to 7-1. I don't think Minnesota's that good. Washington's playing around the 4-4 area. So they're last place in the East, but a win would pull them, depending on what the rest of the division does, could pull them up. Well, Dallas and the Giants are both 6-2 above them, so it would get them closer to the pack, but they can't tie or overtake either of those two teams. Regardless, I love the home dog here. Taylor Heineke to Terry McLaurin seems like it's a really good connection. I think they'll continue to grow chemistry between the two of them on the field against the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay, good. All right, so we're on the same side of that one too. Next game, Green Bay Packers at the Detroit Lions. It's at -3.5 in favor of Green Bay. This is a division game. Green Bay has dominated this matchup over the last few years. Detroit did win last year, but it was week 18. I think Rodgers only played part of that game. Obviously, Green Bay has struggled a lot this year. This would definitely be a get-right spot for them against a bad Detroit defense. But, I mean, they will be able to run the ball. But otherwise, Rodgers is going to have to throw the ball to the receivers that he really doesn't trust. Detroit can score. And just one other thing, Rodgers was on the Pat McAfee show on the trade deadline. And he made a comment like he was hoping that news would come during the show that he could break for them. Like Green Bay was going to do something to get him a wide receiver. So that could have added a little discontent to an already discontent situation.
Because they didn't make a trade?
Yeah, for a receiver. So I'm kind of back and forth. I mean, I think if ever Green Bay is going to win a game, it's got to be this game. Of course, you could probably have said that about the last 2-3 games that they played. So I'm going to suck it up. I'm going to take the points. I'm going to take the Lions.
I think you're on the right side here. I mean, this is my strongest play so far is the Detroit Lions. So take the hook. You get 3.5 points, right? I could see Green Bay winning this late by 3. Maybe like they're down by 4. They score a touchdown to take the lead and win by 3. I'll give you some numbers that'll make it go Detroit, right? Green Bay is 1-4 in their last 5 against the spread. They're 2-8 in their last 10 against the spread versus Detroit. Okay, so even though Detroit has struggled over the last 5 years, they still have held their own against Green Bay when it comes to the line. They're 0-5 against the spread in their last 5 in Detroit, and this game's being played in Detroit. I like Detroit a lot here. I would load up.
Okay. I don't know if you can ever feel that comfortable taking the Lions, but
I like the hook a lot. I really like the 3.5.
All right. So next game is the Los Angeles Chargers at the Atlanta Falcons. Injuries kind of ruined this game for me. The Chargers are what?
Nothing. It's just funny.
So the Chargers are 4-3 on the season. They're coming off a bye week last week, traveling east for a 1:00 kickoff. That has me a little worried. Chargers are going to be without Mike Williams, without Keenan Allen. Can we talk about Keenan Allen for a minute? How can you miss 7 weeks of the season with a hamstring injury?
Not only is Keenan Allen ruining this game for me, he's ruining the season for me for the Chargers because I really like them this year. And he's just injured all the time. Injuries are ruining the season for the Chargers.
How can you have a hamstring injury for 7 weeks?
I don't know. He's getting old.
Well, then maybe he should just retire. Like, they never put him on IR because it's a hamstring.
The hamstring's a tough thing.
Is it? Like,
it is because once it goes, it like keeps coming back. It's a nagging injury
then
that
he needs to
gets
retire.
Worse as you get older once you have it.
But like, what do you do to a hamstring other than pull it? Like, is there anything else you can do to it?
I mean, you can rip your hamstring off the.
But then wouldn't that be like surgery?
Yeah.
Yeah. So It's like a pulled hamstring.
Yeah, well, you don't want to rip the hamstring off because there's no guarantee that you get back to the form of playing, as a caliber of an NFL receiver. I think you're kind of in the phase now where you're week to week with him. You just got to see how he. Well,
he's not even week to week. Like, he's ruled out every Thursday.
Oh, I mean, the hamstring is like,
No, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. It's just like him and Julio Jones, give me a break.
He's just ruining this game for me.
He is. They're all ruining it. Now, we even have Jalen Guyton.
Take Atlanta then.
Jalen Guyton has been on injured reserve. And the second tight end, that Donald Parham, is also going to be out. So it's really Justin Herbert. He has Austin Eckler, but it's going to be Josh Palmer, DeAndre Carter,
Mike Williams is out,
and Gerald Everett. So the Falcons have injuries in the secondary, which would be a perfect setup for Justin Herbert if he had a receiver that he could throw it to, a decent one. So the Falcons want to run the ball. Patterson, I think, was activated from IR, but I don't think he's ready to play yet. I
could use him in fantasy.
As much as I want to take the Chargers, the fact that the top 2 receivers aren't going to be there has me a little worried. We see the Falcons kind of linger around in a lot of games, and they actually let Mariota throw it last week. So as much as I want to take the Chargers, I think I got to take the points and go with the Falcons.
Well, shout out to Florida teams. They have, teamed up with us to put our podcast out on their website. And I actually was co-host of a show where they did their weekly rankings last week. And was basically asked the question of the bottom half of the teams of the rankings, give a bold prediction for one of the teams. And my bold prediction was that Atlanta would make it into the playoffs and win the division. And they won that week. They're now 4-4, right? They're top of their division. And, we'll see what happens going forward. But I think you take them here. Los Angeles, don't get caught up in the name. I mean, they just look shaky throughout the season. And like you said, the injuries are piling up at the wide receiver position. I feel like
Justin Herbert deserves better. That's all I'm saying.
Well, Justin Herbert, too, still has some lingering effects from those cracked ribs, right? So
I think he's played fine.
That he's 100%.
I mean, if you had Mike Williams this week, I think that would be an easy take.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I like the Chargers. I think, Atlanta's one of those, just like the maybe the best of the middle class.
The best of the teams that you can't figure out how they're winning or how they're competing.
Yeah, well, they're competing because they have a veteran quarterback now who.
No, they're not competing because they're not veteran quarterback.
Okay. Anyway, I don't want to get in a debate about Mariota and Atlanta Falcons. I would say if you have to bet it, take the Falcons, but it's not a huge pick for me.
Mm-hmm. Moving on.
Do you have a pick?
I gave you my pick.
What was it?
You weren't listening. Yes.
Hot Atlanta. So are we on Buffalo Jets now?
Yes.
All right.
Division
good
game.
Games here. Let's go.
Division game. Bills obviously have dominated.
It's a tough card. Don't you think this is a tough week?
It's funny because I looked at the schedule at first and I was like, oh, I like this week. And then when it got
don't like it at all.
closer, I was like, why did I like this? Because normally it's the other way around. Like I hate it when I first see it. And then the more like I look at it, I start to like it.
Like that's me too. It's like there's games here that I really like now that I look at it. It just, when I first looked at the card, it was nothing really jumped.
And then you have situations like the wide receivers in LA that kind of ruin it for me.
They're ruining this game for me.
They're ruining it.
Bills at the Jets. Right? The Jets are coming in. They opened up at a 10.5 point dog. Now the line has gone up to 11.5, a full point higher than where it opened. The Jets are looking pretty impressive right now at 5-3, and they're tied in second place with the Miami Dolphins behind and trailing the Buffalo Bills at 6-1. What do you think on this one, Jaclyn?
Well, the Bills have dominated this matchup overall. They've won the last 4 over the last 2 years. Last year, they won 27-10 in Week 18. I have to assume that didn't mean a whole lot to the Bills, but I could be wrong. And then they won 45-17, and that was one of those Mike White games. So, I mean, I'm basically going to say the same thing.
Throw that one out, right?
I don't know.
Mike White games, unless Mike White's quarterbacking.
Well,
kind of crazy.
I don't know that, Mike White had some success last year, and I don't know that Zach Wilson is really showing himself to be much better. But I'm going to say the same thing I said last week. The Jets were rolling when they had Breece Hall carrying the ball for them. If they're going to win, they're going to have to rely on Zach Wilson. I don't think Zach Wilson has done anything yet this year to prove himself. It's a big line.
What about Robinson? They just traded for Robinson from Jacksonville.
The guy that lost his job in Jacksonville is not an equal replacement to what they had in Breece Hall. It's just not.
Well, when you say lost his job, did he really play bad? Like I thought his stats were pretty good, and he looked like he was running hard.
Well, at least then he lost his job, which is worse. You were doing a good job and you lost your job, or you weren't doing a good job and you lost your job.
We can understand 2 years ago.
He's not Breece Hall. That's the point.
2 years ago, they spent a first-round draft pick.
He's a
on
weak,
running back
like desperation
that they have to give the ball
replacement.
To. So out of respect for the veteran, they trade him to another team where he can still get carries. That's how it works. So it's not like, hey, I mean, I don't know. Hey, I like him in this offense. I'm going to take the Jets. This isn't your mom's New York Jets. These guys are 5-3. They're ready to go. They're rolling. Yet we see the same old line, 11.5 points. It's too many points.
It is.
This is ridiculous. It's too many damn points.
If you let me
Playing
finish.
the Jets at home, 11.5, take it all day long.
It's a big line.
Jets, Jets. Let's go.
Game. But I'm not going to take the Jets.
Game. You're not going to take it? Let's go.
No, I'm not betting it.
Take Buffalo with me.
No, I'm not betting it. I would tease Buffalo down.
Oh, you can't tease with me. You can't tease me.
No, I'm not betting you.
You can't tease with me, baby.
All right.
Give me 11.5.
So you're on the Jets. I'm going to mark that down, though. Steve loves the Jets.
Yeah, can you give me 11.5 in the Jets?
No, I'm not doing it. All right. Next game. The Las
Can't tease me.
Vegas Raiders. I could say something there, but I'm going to stop myself. All right. Las Vegas Raiders at the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's at -1.5 in favor of the Raiders. So the Raiders in past years have always seemed to be a team that frustrate me because they either show up or they don't show up. And they did it last week. I don't know if we have to blame it on the illness that was running through the locker room. I mean, I hope so, because they just didn't show up at all and got smoked by the Saints. Jags obviously have been disappointing after the first couple weeks of the season where they seem to play well. Josh McDaniels obviously on the hot seat again. Another meeting after the game with the owner. So to the extent you would say it's a must-win game for them, I would side the Raiders, but I have zero faith in the Raiders, and I would not put my money on them, period.
Jags lost 5 in a row? 0-5 against the spread?
Yeah, and the Raiders have lost everything. They won the one game against the Denver when it was kind of like do or die.
They just lost 24-0 to the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
I picked the Raiders last week. I love the Raiders last week.
I mean, I have to assume that the illness played into it, but I mean, Devontae Adams was like there but not there. I don't know.
Well, I'm a Doug EP fan and I like Jacksonville, but I'm not going to roll with them this week. I'm not a big fan of this game, but if you got to play it, I would take the Raiders. But again, they burned me so bad last week, and Jacksonville's looked so bad in the last couple of weeks. I don't know how you can like a side in this game. I think you just move along past it.
Yeah. All right, next game is the Carolina Panthers at the Cincinnati Bengals. So Panthers, obviously, after firing Rule and trading CMC, they've actually started winning games. We saw the Bengals struggle with the Browns in primetime football. I don't know how much of that was because of Jamar Chase not being there. But Jamar Chase
is there sickness going through that locker room? It sure as hell looked like it.
No, that's what you call
the
primetime fix. But Jamar Chase is a big
Halloween, man. It was spooky.
Is a big loss for Burrow, I think. I don't know if Higgins is fully healthy. And they have a lot of injuries. So they have cornerback Awuzie is already out. Mike Hilton is out. Trey Flowers is questionable. Offensive tackle Collins is questionable. And their defensive tackle, I don't know how you say his name, Topu, has already been ruled out. Panthers have a pretty good defense. So I think, and this opened at -9.5 in favor of the Bengals. It's at -7. I think I saw it at 7.5. I think you got to take the points and take the Panthers. Not to say that the Bengals can't pull out a win, but I don't see them like blowing them out.
I like the Bengals. I think you take the Bengals here. I know they got a lot of injuries, but they're just a better team. They're 4-4. They got to win to stay pace with Baltimore, who's a game above. And 5-3. You got Cleveland, who they just lost to, run one game behind at 3-5. So to me, in the schedule, this is a Cincinnati win, regardless of who suits up. Carolina's not that good.
No,
they've
they're
gotten
not
a couple wins. They're 2-6.
But they're probably gaining a little bit of confidence.
Yeah, but nonetheless, I think you'd stick with the Bengals, even though you don't have Chase. Know that going in, I wouldn't get too risky. Because Chase is not playing, and that's obviously when they're playing their best. So you're dealing with their number one star receiver out. But I think they still have enough firepower to beat the Carolina Panthers, and they bounce back from that awful, humiliating loss on Monday night.
And win by more than 7.5?
I think so. 7. I have a line at 7.
Okay.
If they score 7.5 points, they win.
Okay. All right, we're on the opposite side of that one, and no, I won't bet you on it. I'm not betting the Panthers.
Okay, I got a feeling I can entice you into a bet on this one.
The next one?
Yeah.
Oh, hell no.
Okay.
All right, next game is the Seattle Seahawks at the Arizona Cardinals. Opened at -4 in favor of the Cardinals. It's at -1.5. This is a division game. These teams played in week 6. Seattle won that game 19-9. Over the last 2 years, they have split this matchup. I haven't been buying the hype on Seattle, but they keep winning games. So I think I might be ready to. That said, I'm going to take the Cardinals here because that's the way my luck goes. Cardinals will have DeAndre Hopkins in this game. They did not have him in week 6. And the Cardinals defense did play well against Geno in week 6, holding them to 19 points. So I think DeAndre Hopkins has shown to be a difference maker. So I'm going to go Cardinals.
All right, I like the Cardinals. I got 2 bucket trends. This game and the next game, along with the one that we already provided, which was Washington over Minnesota. All right, so we have 3 bucket trends. This is the second one. I like it, Arizona as well. You got James Conner's a game time decision, right? Left tackle DJ Humphrey, so that's going to be big. But I still think they have enough firepower to win, even if those guys don't play. But if they play, if both of them play, I really love Arizona here, big time. Like you said, DeAndre Hopkins didn't play the first game that they lost 19-9. That was just a couple of weeks ago. The trend that we're going to buck is Arizona against the spread in the last 5 is 0-5 in the division. So when they're playing against a division opponent in the NFC West, they've lost their last 5 against the spread. So we really like Arizona a lot here. Hopefully,
we
Kyler
or
Murray.
you?
Well, it sounds like you like them.
I like them. I wouldn't say I like them a lot.
Well, I like them a lot and you like them. So we like them a lot.
I liked them last week and they let me down. So, one thing I will mention, they did have some kicker issues in that game that they played against Seattle. So they were going for it on 4th down a couple times versus kicking the field goal. So,
yeah.
That makes a difference. All right. So we're both on the same side of that one.
I mean, I think Benjamin degrees. And Ingram can get the job done at running back because you're really going to look at if they're going to win this game. It's going to be, Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins. That's my point. But it's just an added bonus with James Conner. So watch it game time or Sunday. Look to see if James Conner's playing. He's probably the bigger one. But obviously with Walker running the ball well, you'd like to have the left tackle, DJ Humphries back too.
Okay. All right. Next game is the LA Rams at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Well, I know we're on the same side of this game.
It opened at minus
Without knowing, I know we're on the same side.
1.5 in favor of Tampa Bay. It's up to -3 in favor of Tampa Bay.
Ooh.
So this is a meeting of teams that were supposed to be good. The past 2 Super Bowl winners haven't been living up to their reputation this year. Both teams desperately need this win. Stafford obviously has been playing behind a bad O-line all year. Cooper Kupp was injured in the game last week. He is questionable for this week. I assume he will play, but will he be 100% effective? The only thing the Rams really have going for them is their defensive line. If they can get pressure on Brady with Aaron Donald, given the fact that Brady doesn't have his full offensive line intact. One other thing of note is that John McVay, who is Sean McVay's grandfather, passed away on Monday. So you have to assume that that is some bit of a distraction for him from his game plan for prepping for this week. So I am going to go with Tom Brady and the Bucs.
Shocker. That's the way the line's going. So a lot of people agree with you. I also agree with you. So this is another buck to trend. 0-6 against the spread in the last 6. Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Let's go Bucs. We're going to buck that trend.
Go Tom Brady.
Akeem Hicks. Here's the deal. Tampa Bay, you kind of saw when they first started playing.
I should have worn my Brady jersey.
Yeah, well, when they first started playing this year, they had a very dominant defense. They were making a lot of plays. And to be honest with you, that's really the whole problem with Tom Brady is he doesn't have a supporting cast, right? Doesn't have a good offensive line, but the defense isn't really flying around the field.
That's what I guess I don't understand is you have Todd Bowles, who was the defensive coordinator. I thought he did an awesome job over the past couple of years. I think that Super Bowl win is like 100% attributable to him in containing Patrick Mahomes. But they haven't played very well, and they weren't healthy last year. They are healthy this year. So he moves to head coach, but you would think like he still has some input on the defense. Like, is that why they're not living up to snuff?
Well, the problem is that they have injuries. That's what I was trying to get to.
Maybe in the past few weeks.
Hold on, you got Akeem Hicks coming back at linebacker, who's the leader of the defense, right? And he was really playing well when he went out. He hasn't played since like week 2. And you have both starting cornerbacks just coming back this week.
But they were there earlier in the season.
Yeah, and they were decent early in the season. But Tom was still messing around, with his head. So now you're starting to see the team come back and get healthy, right? You're seeing Tom finalize his divorce. There's no more stressing. Should I be with Giselle? How am I going to work this out? He has already in his head moved on and they finalized the paperwork or the decision to get divorced, right? So now he can start building. And as we've always talked, Tampa Bay doesn't really necessarily, it's not like the old NFL where you need to start playing well in November. You don't necessarily need to start playing well.
Luckily for them, they're in a bad division.
December. Yeah, they are in a bad division.
So they have plenty of time, but they have to right the ship.
They're only one game out. They're 3-5, right? Atlanta's 4-4, leading. But they're tied with New Orleans. I mean, New Orleans, we were just talking about how they had to own the 4th pick of the draft like a week ago. Now they're 3-5. So that team, the division's not good, right? It's not going to take much for Tampa Bay to get it together, get a couple of wins and win this division and march into the playoffs. I like Tampa Bay. I think you get the cornerbacks and the linebacker back. The defense is going to start taking over. Like you said, McVay was a little bit distracted, probably with trying to come up with the game plan. We'll see how that plays out based off his grandpa passing away. Sorry to hear that, by the way. But can you trademark?
Condolences go to Sean McVay. What?
It's hard for me to be nice to Sean McVay. I'm not a big fan.
You were a big fan last year. Now you've jumped off the ship, huh? Because they're losing games. Bandwagon.
Listen, can you trademark the term Battle of the Supposed to Be's? I love that. That's awesome. That's a great term for this game. The Battle of the Supposed to Be's is what you said earlier. I like it.
Well, it is. It was. I mean, they were. I mean, it's been a weird NFL season that way. Like all the big, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Matt Stafford. I mean, these are the guys that are supposed to dominate.
Favored to win the NFC last year,
and then you got Daniel Jones and Geno Smith, with winning records.
These two teams are
ironic.
Combined 6 and 9.
We'll put it that way.
I love Tampa,
but I have faith in Tom Brady. That he'll get it together, and hopefully he'll get I don't know what
the Rams just got smoked by San Fran too. You know what I mean?
Well, they always do though. So.
Wow.
That's nothing new.
Sure. All right, moving on.
Okay. So now we're into the primetime games. We have the Tennessee Titans at the Kansas City Chiefs, open at -10.5 in favor of Kansas City. It's at -11.5. Primetime game. Titans have had success against the Chiefs. The Titans are actually 5-2 versus the Chiefs under Andy Reid. That's the best record that any team holds against them. Also, Andy Reid is coming off the bye week. That's always been a thing. The Titans are obviously not the same team that they have been in the past when they have, I think they won the last game they played against the Chiefs 27-3. They did lose to them in the playoffs the year before, but it was at least competitive until the fourth quarter. We can say that the Titans aren't that same team because they don't have A.J. Brown. They don't have that downfield threat. But by the same token, the Chiefs are not the same team. They don't have their downfield threat in Tyreek Hill. Titans are 5-2. They have played some bad teams. We did see them get smoked by the Bills in week 2. And I guess the biggest issue in this game is Ryan Tannehill. He did not play last week. They did not need him last week because they had Derrick Henry. I don't know if Derrick Henry is going to be able to rip off 200-plus yards against the Chiefs. So whether Tannehill plays or not makes a difference to me in this game. But if he does play, I think you got to take the points. I mean, I think it's almost disrespectful that Tennessee is a 5-2 team is an 11-point dog.
Well, Tannehill was limited in action Wednesday and Friday this week at practice, and he was a non-participant on Thursday. So who knows what the hell's going on with this guy?
I read that he was going to be a game-time decision, which doesn't bode well.
Yeah, I agree. So with him being part-time Wednesday and Friday and taking Thursday off, and then who knows?
Henry missed practice on Thursday as well, with a foot/rest day. So I don't know what that means. If he is suffering from some injury, that could be concerning as well. I mean, I think if Tannehill plays, you got to take the points. If he doesn't play, I think you got to take the Chiefs.
So Tennessee, right, is 5-2. First place above Indianapolis Colts, who are 3-4-1. So they're basically, 3 games above them? So they can, afford to lose a game, right? So who knows how.
But they're not going to,
I'm just saying, who needs it worse, right? Kansas City, right? They're sitting in the top of the West at 5-2. They're a game above the Chargers at 4-3. Denver's really not a threat. They're under 500. What I keep going back to is I look at Tennessee, right? And they're 5-2, and they've ripped off 5 wins in a row. But who are they beating here, right? They're beating the Raiders. They stink. The Colts, they stink. The Colts twice. The Commanders, right? The Texans.
Well, that was Carson Wentz.
Yeah. I mean, they're playing like nobody. And then they play the Bills, right?
I already said all this if you were listening.
They lose 41-7 to the Bills.
Exactly.
Like Kansas City's a Bills-like team, right? I mean, they're upper echelon. They're not as good as the Bills.
We've seen Tennessee over the past couple of years really come into some of these games against these big dog teams and surprise everybody.
I agree, because they have good coaching. And that's what good coaching can get done.
Absolutely. But
there's also a great coach on the other side of the field that is coaching at the top level of his game right now. Especially we're going to see that with Hill out.
All right, let me ask you this.
It's making it a little harder on offense and they're figuring it out.
Let me ask you this. If Grable plays, what do you do? Or I'm sorry, if Tannehill plays, what do you do? What side?
I think if Tannehill plays, right, this line's going to go down from 11.5 to inside 10. Is that fair?
I don't think so.
All right. I like Kansas City, regardless.
Either way?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's in Kansas City. This is a Sunday night game?
Yep.
Yeah. I like the Chiefs. I take them. I take the points. It's a lot of points, but I would take them.
Okay. So then obviously if Tannehill doesn't play, you're taking the Chiefs.
I mean, I know they're 5-0. Listen, I'm baffled because I don't like Tennessee. I don't like Tennessee at all.
How do you not like Tennessee?
I don't like them at all this year. And I've been getting them wrong. To be honest with you, the last couple of weeks, I mean, they're 5-0. I probably picked against them just about every week. Might have been one in here that I picked with them, but that's about it. So, I mean, I really don't.
But that was one of your
biased.
losses last week, by the way.
Yeah. Against the Texans. Right. So, I I just believe that.
Hey, we saw the Texans put up a fight against the Eagles last
They're
night.
going to win 6 in a row. They got the Broncos and the Packers after this. They could easily win those games, right?
Sure.
And you got the Bengals, then you got the Eagles.
I mean, by that point, it might be, I don't know. Like if I was Mike Rabel, I might say, sit Tannehill. And then when we lose this game against the Chiefs, I thought I heard noises. It doesn't matter as much. And then have him healthy for the other games that you have coming up.
I think. Do
you want to come say hi? Come over here. Come over here.
Oh my God.
Don't touch any wires or anything.
Did we start recording too early?
Stand right in the middle. They've been dying to get in on this.
Come here,
Look
Jake.
at the camera.
Real quick, Jake.
Say hi.
This is Brady.
It's Brady. And who's your pick? Is it the Titans or the Chiefs?
Titans.
Okay.
You
Step
brainwashed
out.
the kid. He likes the Titans.
That's Marco. Step in.
Because he plays for the Titans.
Step on in. Look at the camera.
What's your name?
Chica.
And who's your pick? Titans or Chiefs?
Titans.
Why do you like the Titans?
I don't know.
Yes, you do. Who plays for the Titans?
Derek Henry.
There you go.
But who's your favorite team?
Eagles.
Yeah, good boy.
Eagles.
Who's your favorite team, Brady?
Eagles.
All right, good boy. That's all that matters.
All right. Get lost.
No.
All right, listen, we got to wrap this up so you guys go watch from the cheap seats.
Back to bed.
Bye. Say bye.
Say bye.
Bye.
All right, bye, Jacob. Bye, Brady. Take a hike. Scram.
All right.
Scram, marker boy.
All right. Last game is the Baltimore Ravens at the New Orleans Saints. It's at -2.5 in favor of the Ravens, down from -3.5. So I really wanted to take the Saints in this game, but it's Monday night, and that means it's primetime Andy Dalton, who we saw just a few weeks ago, and it really is a thing. So Ravens added Roquan Smith. I also realized that Andy Dalton was in Cincinnati for the bulk of his career, which is a division team to the Ravens. So this has me a little bit nervous because it's the Monday night game, and those always kind of go opposite of what you expect. So I think I got to take the Ravens, but I got to watch the money and see where it ends up. And I might have to take primetime Andy Dalton if the money dictates.
I think it's like 25% of it's on New Orleans. So 3/4.
Okay, that doesn't scare me.
3/4 of the action
It's
on
got to be
Baltimore.
like 80 or more.
Yeah, I mean, how can you go with primetime Andy Dalton?
I mean, Andy Dalton has been playing very well this year, I think, for the Saints. But we saw it in the other primetime game. And he started that game. He threw like 2 long passes down the field. And then next thing you know, it's like 3 interceptions.
1-6 against the spread in their last 7 games played on Monday
But
night.
they've been very competitive this year, I think. A lot of these games. I mean, some of them they ended up on the wrong side, but they were at least competitive.
Yeah, like this is totally a game where everybody's going to put their action on Baltimore.
Yeah. So
And I
that's why
hate
you got
the
to
Saints,
watch. But I don't. Do you feel comfortable taking
Why is the
primetime
line
Andy
going
Dalton?
down? Why is the line going down?
I don't know.
The receivers not playing? Bateman? Is that
Yeah,
what's
well, he's
going on?
out now.
All right, so what's the running back situation? Do you know?
Oh, your guess is as good as mine. I don't know. I wasted a few FanDuel lineups a couple weeks ago playing Kenyon Drake, only for Gus Edwards to come in and vulture all the touchdowns.
Well, they said that he was getting activated. Should have been all over that. Gus Edwards
Who puts the guy that just got activated, hasn't played in a year? And Kenyon Drake was like ripping off long runs the week before. I would have played Kenyon Drake.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. And
Always
they're on the road in New Orleans. I mean, it's almost like you should take New Orleans and just not watch the game. But I can't. Listen, it's Monday night. It's the only game on, right? So it just feels like that feeling you get when you're just like, if you're going to take a team and it's just obvious that that team's going to win, but they don't win. They don't cover.
That's what
feels like the
I
Ravens.
still have to get back and look, but I feel like every Monday night game this year has gone that way.
I
know
don't
last
like the
week
Saints.
did.
Plus, I'm like actively like biased against the Saints because we have the Eagles have their first round pick next year. So the worse they do, the better that pick is. So I'm always in my head thinking I want to see the Saints lose. So, I don't really trust myself in this game, but the Saints are probably the pick. But I like the Ravens. How can you like the Saints?
Okay.
I'm all over the place with this one.
No, I actually would like the Saints if it wasn't a primetime game.
Yeah.
But all right.
Yeah.
So that's going to do it for us.
Make sure you like us and hit subscribe.
Thank you, Steve. for
remembered
stepping
for
up to the
once.
plate on this. All right, peace out.